Benjamin Fulford. Latest news: the mega event Black Swan, predicted for March 15th, has indeed happened, and it will become increasingly apparent in the coming days and months. According to the sources of the Asian Secret Society and the White Dragon, the so-called world order based on the rules of the Khazar Group has surrendered. Thus, the hybrid war for control of planet Earth, which has been raging since at least September 11, 2001, is coming to an end. This happened after a representative of the White Dragon Society personally declared war on the Japanese government. The declaration states that the government is controlled by foreign gangsters who have eliminated more than 400,000 Japanese citizens with cocktails. The demands include the expulsion of U.S. Ambassador Rahm Emanuel and all of Japan's foreign aides. He calls for the formation of an emergency government under the Japanese royal family. He also calls for the nationalization of the Bank of Japan, the celebration of the anniversary, the restoration of the Economic Planning Agency, etc. The inevitable move in Japan came after Chinese authorities arrested 726,000 people last year, up 1% from the previous year, amid a crackdown on crimes involving hostile foreign forces. In a public sign of the Khazar Group's surrender, Pope Francis stated that Ukraine should have the courage to raise the white flag of surrender to Russia and the Planetary Liberation Alliance. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Josep Borrell also confirmed the surrender of the Khazars, writing in his blog, "If the current global geopolitical tensions continue to develop in the direction of the West against the rest, the future of Europe risks being bleak. The era of Western domination is indeed finally over." In another sign that the regime in the United States, controlled by the Khazar Group, has come to an end, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Washington has become a laughingstock for the rest of the world. "I think it's obvious to everyone that the American political system cannot claim to be democratic in any sense of the word, and is becoming increasingly uncivilized." Another sign appeared on March 11th, the anniversary of the Fukushima terrorist attack, when the Federal Reserve stopped providing assistance to banks. This means that most major Western banks are now de facto bankrupt. That's why all the big CEOs are selling their shares. Many commentators agree. Oops, even old Warren Buffett wants to leave before the crash. IRS data reportedly shows Buffett traded Berkshire shares in a personal account. According to ProPublica, Warren Buffett allegedly led or traded on his personal account in shares that were bought and sold by his Berkshire Hathaway conglomerate. According to ProPublica on Thursday, he himself considered this practice a conflict of interest in the past. Moreover, it is illegal. All this is happening because on March 15th, behind the scenes, an Asian member of the royal family was officially appointed the new M1 or controller of the financial system, according to Asian Secret Society sources. Christine Lagarde became president of the European Central Bank because she agreed to accept orders from the new M1. They add, sources say that confirmation of the changes will occur when Goldman Sachs announces its departure from Japan on April 15th. This is a mega black swan event for many reasons. Changing control over the financial system is changing control over the decision-making process about what humanity will do in the future. First, it marks the end of a millennial project by families controlling monotheism to impose a god-king of their kind on the entire planet. In a shorter period of time, this marks the end of the Masonic project, begun in 1717, with the aim of destroying Russia as a prelude to the subjugation of China. It also marks the end of the 80th anniversary of the post-war international system dominated by the West. If you look even closer, it marks the end of the unipolar world domination that the United States enjoyed after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The Illuminati Gnostic sources say that what happened exceeds the biblical scale, as it means the end of the war against fallen angels, which has been raging for 26,000 years. However, at the here and now level, changes will be slower, because changing a plan that has been implemented for at least decades cannot be done overnight. For example, the planning of the scam for 2020 to 2023 began 45 years ago, as can be seen from the World Bank reports for 1975. This means dealing with decades of laws, corporate training, and brainwashing of elite servants. Nevertheless, meetings are being held to determine how to spend trillions of dollars for the benefit of humanity and other living beings on the planet. Representatives of WDs, members of the royal family of Asia, and the CEO of a major international bank are meeting this week to discuss plans to allocate at least $1 trillion needed to create a future planning organization. Once the funding is confirmed, A press conference will be held to announce it. Dr. Alan Sabrowski, former research director at the U.S. Army War College, says, "In the system we live in today, black hats completely dominate in every way, be it politics, education, finance, or the media. This is the reality and what the masses have to deal with. The Zionists are behind almost all the world's problems. For centuries, they have tried to control nations to their advantage. This check is ending. The attempt to use Ukraine to subjugate Russia ended in defeat, failure, and bankruptcy. Now it's Israel's turn. From now on, it will be possible to solve all the crimes committed by this small group on behalf of the CIA during the Cold War in the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America," writes French journalist Thierry Meisson. War crimes tribunals are coming. About 650 Chilean lawyers have filed a lawsuit with the International Criminal Court (ICC) against Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu for genocide in the besieged Gaza Strip. The US government was forced to stop supporting Israel after the BRICS coalition, which includes more than 80% of the world's population, threatened sanctions and a boycott. As a sign of this boycott, the BRICS countries are considering the possibility of creating a form of mutual settlement similar to that in the early European Union, said the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia. Sherpa in the BRICS countries Sergei Ryabkov, that is why, in its annual threat assessment report, the US government stated that Netanyahu's viability as head of government, as well as his ruling alliance of far-right and ultra-Orthodox parties pursuing tough policies on Palestine and security issues, may be questioned. A Mossad source comments, "Wow, Chuck Schumer is calling for new elections." It seems that Bibi's days are numbered after Schumer said that Israel cannot survive if it becomes an outcast. A final confrontation is inevitable. U.S. officials say the Israeli military operation in Rafah is likely to lead to an end to U.S. protection of Israel at the United Nations. Since then, Netanyahu has stated that his red line is that Israel should go to Rafah. In other words, he will fight to the death, and that will be his death. Sources in the Russian FSB reported that Iran and Russia have cleared the airspace over Syria in preparation for further direct actions against Israel and the United States. Iran has suspended all flights to Syria indefinitely. The current US government is unable to prevent this because it does not control the armed forces and is itself on the edge of a precipice. Here's the latest news about the walking Funny Joe. He's talking nonsense like we have one of the lowest inflation rates of any country in America and that his administration has set a record 15 million new jobs were created. And yet the US government show continues. The latest information about the January 6th staging of the KM Deep State event is that 88 pages of ATF records from the Department of Justice in the lawsuit show that the CIA moved personnel to Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. Then follows the ongoing farce of the Donald Trump trials. Judge McAfee of Georgia rules that Fani Willis can continue her extortion lawsuit against Trump, despite the fact that she lied in court about her affair. The Democrats controlled by the group are really afraid that Trump will do to them what they did to him and many of his supporters, a Pentagon source said. The former president has openly stated that he intends to use the Justice Department against his enemies, Vice President Harris said of Trump. The fact is that the vast majority of Americans do not want to have anything to do with any of the factions. Recent polls show that only 16% of Americans trust the federal government. This is down from 77% in 1964 and 54% in 2001. This is not surprising. 16% of the support also roughly corresponds to the percentage of combat-ready US military aircraft. The report of the Gao Government Accounting Chamber for September 2023 on the F-35 showed that only 15 to 30% of the F-35 can be combat-ready. It is not surprising that there is a large movement of people who refuse to pay taxes. The situation leads to a fierce power struggle between the oligarchs who de facto run the US corporation. This is evidenced by the campaign aimed at destroying Boeing aircraft. Lawyers for a Boeing informant found dead on the day he was supposed to testify against the aviation giant doubt that he committed suicide in a parking lot in South Carolina and are calling for an investigation. A large-scale war for control of cyberspace is also raging in the United States. Here, Larry Ellison, CIA White Hats, stands for TikTok, and Elon Musk, us military White Hats, and X stand against Larry Page, the Rockefellers, and Bill Gates standing for Google, Meta, Instagram, and Messenger. SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, is in the process of building hundreds of spy satellites, confirming that sources in the Russian FSB have told us that Musk is a cover for the US National Intelligence Agency. While the American oligarchs are fighting a duel, Russia is going on the offensive. Western elites have a great desire to freeze the current unfair situation in international affairs. For centuries, they have been used to stuffing their stomachs with meat and their pockets with money. The vampire ball is coming to an end, Putin says. Polish intelligence reports that Russia is going to issue an ultimatum to 7 capitals. Obviously, it also calls for the return of the Baltic states to Russia. Meanwhile, an undeclared civil war is raging in Poland. The government of this country has just used provocateurs throwing stones at the police as a pretext for a brutal attack on a peasant protest outside the parliament of the Republic of Poland. A civil war is coming. Farmers will attack the government, the message from Poland says. A farmer knows better how to cultivate his land, rather than an official in Brussels who wants to dictate to him how to take care of his soil and the environment. If a farmer did not take care of his land, he would not be a farmer in Poland and in the European Union today, says farmer and Deputy Minister of Agriculture Michael Kołodziejczak. The revolution is also in full swing in the French-speaking world. The change of elites in French-speaking West Africa, which began in 2021, has deprived Paris of much of its traditional political and economic influence in the region, not to mention its powerful military presence. The French military has since left Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and the Central African Republic. Meanwhile, the Russian armed forces have formed their own Afrika Korps. Obviously, it was the loss of looted African resources that prompted French President Emmanuel Macron to tell his people, French intervention in Ukraine cannot be ruled out, and France will do everything possible to prevent Russia from winning. Now the rest of the world is behind it. Conservative commentator Candace Owens states, I would bet my entire professional reputation that Brigitte Macron is actually a man. Meanwhile, the conspirators are putting up one last resistance on the French-speaking island of Haiti. The great psycho in hiding appeared there for all to see. Gilbert Bigio's only billionaire oligarch in Haiti, a Syrian Jew, turned out to be the mastermind behind all the chaos and suffering currently taking place on this island. By the way, the Rockefellers are also Syrian and Assyrian Jews, respectively. Assyrians worship Ashur, the god of war, also known as Baal. The Clinton Foundation, controlled by the Rockefellers, was responsible for allocating more than $13 billion in aid to rebuild Haiti when the country was hit by an earthquake in 2010. Bill Clinton used the phrase rebuild Haiti for the better. The people of Haiti have never seen such money, and now their country is ruled by gangs of cannibals. This is what Democrats mean when they say, build better. Their business is not to help those in need. They are only interested in getting rich under the guise of foreign aid. As we reported earlier, quite a few British members of the royal family have gone missing. Just as this report was about to be published, Canadian intelligence sent us the following message. Princess Kate Middleton of Wales was eliminated as a result of the Illuminati sacrifice, according to Princess Diana's best friend, who also said that the ritual had long been planned as part of the dark occult traditions of the royal family. According to Christine Fitzgerald, the fact that Kate had to be eliminated has been a secret for many years to the British aristocracy, who claimed that Middleton, like her friend Princess Diana, was carefully selected for the role of victim because of her personality and ancestry. While the public in the UK and around the world is demanding that the royal family provide proof of life, the woman who was once Diana's best friend is pushing the world to realize the dark truth about the Luciferian Windsor House. It is in this context that the British present their directed energy weapon technology to the world. It can instantly destroy drones and hypersonic missiles for £10 per shot. It also looks like the Khazar Group is planning even more terrible things for April. It turns out that the Oklahoma National Guard will send guards to the total solar eclipse on April 8th, the main Jewish holiday. A team of 22 elite soldiers from chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear units will be deployed on this day. Residents are advised to stock up on groceries for 1 to 2 weeks before the event. Since communication facilities can be overloaded, mobile phone calls can become difficult. Hundreds of schools on the path of the total solar eclipse are canceling classes for safety reasons. This eclipse will cover the United States, Mexico, and Canada. It will cross more urban areas in one path than any other solar eclipse in the history of the Western Hemisphere. A CIA source comments, "There is definitely something going on here. Will the power grid be disconnected?" all cellular services will be disabled. April 8th, total solar eclipse. In addition, it turns out that we are currently on the 322nd floor. Yale University College of Skull and Bones 322, and that this eclipse will last 3 minutes 22 seconds. Like the cherry on the cake, the Devil's Comet is also reportedly visible to the naked eye during a solar eclipse. Is Operation Blue Ray approved?